Good morning. Welcome to Fantasy Sports Today here on SportsGrid. I'm Craig Mish along with George Kurtz. We got 2 hours of fantasy baseball talk. The All-Star break is officially coming in 24 hours. George, it's great to be back with you here for another edition of the show. It's time to dive into the first half of the fantasy baseball season. First half really a couple of weeks ago, let's be honest, with 81 games being played by everybody in Major League Baseball. It's been definitely an interesting first half. We'll give us some things to think about in the second half as well as we recap it all on the show today. Good morning.
Good morning, Craig. The All-Star break is bittersweet for me because what am I going to do for 4 days, right? The Home Run Derby, all right, fine, I'll watch, but that's a slog. The All-Star game, all right, but Wednesday and Thursday is like, oh my God, we don't even have games Thursday anymore. They don't play till Friday after that, so it's a tough 4 days in the sports world for me.
Yeah, we're going to dive into a lot of it too. Let's give you, by the way, before we get to the news of the week, I do want to give you the news of the last 24 hours real quick because I think it is kind of notable, even though it doesn't affect fantasy. I know we have some plans to start off with some other stuff, so Sam will get a little mad, but that's okay. So Ronald Acuna Jr. drops out of the Home Run Derby 48 hours before it happens, George, and Matt Olson takes over. There's a lot of left-handed hitters, by the way, really a lot of left-handed hitters in this Home Run Derby. It's got to be the most ever, I think, personally. And if you're sitting in left field for this Derby, you're going to be a little disappointed. I think only Caminero and Buxton, am I right about that? Are the only righties in this thing?
Rooker's a righty.
Rooker. Okay, so Rooker's not
Raleigh
bad.
switch hits.
Yeah, but he'll hit lefty. So
The
other big notable news, I feel like we could probably do this topic for 2 hours. I know we're not going to because we're going to cover. Oh, we're doing Mizorowski coming up? We're doing all that? Okay. Okay. Yeah. But I do feel like we should mention this at the top of the show for people who are just waking up this morning, who have been watching fantasy baseball or baseball and paying attention. It is a groundbreaking move by Major League Baseball to do two things. The first was earlier in the week to announce that they're going to put the automatic balls and strike system in the All-Star game. I thought that would be the big story. But George, are you ready for 2 straight days or 3 straight days of talk how a guy who pitched 5 games during the baseball season has made the All-Star game? This is a game changer in a lot of different ways. Remember, there are players that have in their contracts that get extra money for being in the All-Star game. Now, for you and me, it may be life-changing. For them, I don't know. It's 100, 200 grand, 50 grand. Who knows what it is, the bonus. But I have a feeling this topic is going to be the big topic at the game in Atlanta.
I think the ABS still may be the number one topic there, because that'll be fun to see if they're going to do that. But this is ticking some people off, right? The Philadelphia Phillies came out yesterday, and they're not happy because they have a trio of starters that, hey, pitched all season, pitched pretty well, yet we're not going. And Mr. Rosky's made 5 starts. They've been great starts, well, for the most part, great starts. But he's made 5. I got to tell you, Craig, how's that an all-star? Listen, it's a showcase game, right? It's for the fans. So we want to see the guy throw 103 miles an hour. So I sort of get that. But it is a slap in the face of some of these pitchers who have pitched well all season long here. So I kind of understand that as well here. So a tough choice here. I think for the fans, it's probably a good thing. So we do want to see the hard thrower here. But also, on the gambling side, is there any chance this game's going over? Everyone's going to be throwing the ball 103 miles an hour. I mean, the hitters they're behind the 8 ball in this game tremendously as it is here. So is what it is. Tell you the truth, I'd rather see Mizorowski than probably Suarez or Sanchez.
No, I understand that, but Suarez or Sanchez, these guys have pitched, 20 games apiece. There are hitters that have played, 90 games going into this week, and this guy has played 5. You know me, I'm a new school guy. I love the innovations and I love the changes, and I think that it is a glorified exhibition where you should get the most popular players in the game. I had no problem with Skeens being in it last year, but when you're talking about 5 games pitched, that's 1 week for the average player in Major League Baseball. They've been playing for 5 months already. I don't know, man. It seems a little much to me. So, we'll dive into this as we go. And, certainly I know a lot of people have opinions on this one. It broke late last night, so it's kind of hard to dominate a show with this when we talk fantasy baseball. So in lieu of that, let's get to what Sam has planned for us here on the show today. Regime change in Washington, D.C. Of course, Rizzo is out. Dave Martinez is also out. Martinez, to me, was no surprise. Rizzo was a surprise. I know that a lot of the moves that he made outside of the Soto deal didn't look that good. And they definitely, I thought they were a sleeper for this season, and they've been asleep all season. So there you go with that. Alex Bregman is back in the Red Sox lineup. They're playing great baseball, playing bad teams, George, beating every bad team. That's what you got to do. They're on the schedule. You got to beat them. The Blue Jays are playing well. Rhys Hoskins against the Marlins got hurt. He went on the IL. And Carlos Correa, boy, what a disappointment that deal has been with him and the Twins. He went back on the IL as well, too. So I guess we can start off with Washington here and sort of what the future holds. They have the number 1 pick in the draft on Sunday. So immediately they're going to get a lot better. Generally speaking, more than half the time that number 1 pick becomes a star in Major League Baseball. But Rizzo's not going to get a chance to make that selection. And for Dave Martinez, winning the World Series and sort of riding that for a few years, it just doesn't seem to be enough. And then Georgie made those comments about a month ago about how it's never the coach's fault. It's always the player's fault. I thought that was odd. Seems like that was the beginning of the end for him.
Yeah, though once he made those comments, that he might be fired soon after that because the players aren't going to be happy with those comments, right? They're going to turn against you a little bit when you start blaming them, even though he's not wrong. Generally, it is the players' fault if they're not playing up their expectations there. Though you just don't say what he said. So I thought in some ways he wanted to be fired, just be sort of paroled and let out of jail from Washington. That's for Rizzo. I know some people thought it was odd that they would fire him, right before the All-Star break or before the draft. Well, if you don't trust him now, you probably don't trust him during the draft, right? Even though the number 1 pick's the number 1 pick, they probably know who they're taking with or without Rizzo. Maybe you don't want him controlling the rest of the draft. And as you said, you can't screw this pick up, right? Because this has to be a star player, whatever it is, 2, 3, 4 years down the line here. He's got to be probably a minimum a star. You're probably looking for a superstar here. So it's been a disappointing year for Washington. I also think this is some PR, blame deflecting. The owner want to get it off him. Let's blame it on somebody else. I think we sort of seen it with a couple other teams, which probably if Colorado did something similar. Once again, get rid of the manager. Let's get rid of the GM. Get it off the ownership and didn't spend any money.
It is the most active season, George, that we've seen in years with managers fired and executives fired. I mean, this usually doesn't happen. But the other thing that you have to remember, too, is that most people project a lockout coming in a year, which means there's just basically 1 year of baseball. I think that definitely has something to do with it, too, getting the fans back on your side in baseball. American League East is going to be a fun second half, George. Let's take a look at the standings. And again, right now, I still do feel it is a 4-team race. If you would have asked me this 2 weeks ago, I would have said no with the Red Sox. But when you win 7 in a row, that puts you back in the mix. They're just a couple of games behind the Yankees, and I'm never counting out the Rays until I see what they do at the trade deadline. If they're going to punt, okay, I gotcha. Orioles, I don't think are making it. Would you agree?
I don't think the Orioles are going to win the division. I think the Orioles have a shot to get back in the wild card here. They're only, I think, 6.5 out, so that's a shot. I just don't know if the Orioles are going to trade out at the deadline, right? You got 3 weeks or less than 3. We have 19 days. So they got some decisions to make here. Red Sox have decisions to make as well. Bregman could be on the trade deadline, to be on the trade wire. I doubt it, but they'll talk about him. Duran, I think, absolutely could be moved. They get the right offer there with Boston looking for a top starter.
I think right now the Red Sox are in one of those very weird spots because you definitely feel like they have some guys, as you mentioned, expiring contracts, but also after trading Devers, how do you not reinvest for the future? It's a tough one. All right, we'll be back with 3 Up, 3 Down, the hot weeks, the cold weeks. You're watching Fantasy Sports Today here on SportsGrid. We'll be back right after this.
New to social casinos? You're in for a treat. Most online casinos offer bonus cash or coins just for signing up. That's your own little participation trophy. Now, Go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
One that really sticks out to me the most, George, and he's having a fantastic season, is James Wood of the Washington Nationals. I mean, yes, Cal Raleigh's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. He's like a candidate for MVP of the American League. But every time I look up, George, James Wood is either getting 5 hits or being walked 4 times in a game. What a season for this guy.
And he's so young. What, he 22? So what a future this kid has ahead of him.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Cooper flag against Bronny James feels like Mike DeCourcy against Mike Tyson. I'm sorry. I mean, let's be real about this. We're talking about a generational prospect in Cooper Flag and LeBron's kid who averaged 5.5 points in his 1 year of Division I basketball. I'm not saying LeBron is a poor player, but I don't see him as an equal attraction or an equal.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
You don't want a big that's camped out under the basket and clogging the lane. He provides a lot of really good defense, a lot of three-point shooting, and again, younger than Brook Lopez. It is a good match. I just don't think it moves the needle, but as we talked about to open the show, when Giannis Antetokounmpo was saying, we're not just going to sit here this year and say, oh, Dame's down, let's just take a pause year because I'd rather go try to chase a championship. So at least they're being honest and saying, we're going to make this team better.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. Fantasy Baseball takes a break Sunday. George said he's going to be a little dismayed to not make moves for a few days. I think most people like me are like, whew, okay, fine. Take a little bit of a break. 3 up, 3 down. Here are some players that we're going to talk about having good weeks and some players having tough weeks as well. Waiver wire, of course, still active for most people, but generally people do take a break, vacation this time of the year too. Okay, so the Red Sox are hot. Really the hottest name, honestly, on the Red Sox today in Rafaela, but everybody owns him in fantasy by now. No doubt about that. This guy is unstoppable, George. But Trevor Story, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs, 259 batting average. I think most people rooting for this guy. Kind of a rare player where you're like, even though, George, you're a Yankee fan, you probably are hoping that Story does well, right? He's had like a lot of injury issues in the past, seems like. He's an emotional type guy, too. So, probably never going to be the guy that we thought that he would be back when he was a rookie. Remember, he came up and he was the hottest name in fantasy in the spring and a rare fantasy guy in the spring. What was it, like 7-8 years ago? He comes up, amazing spring, and then takes it right into the regular season, and he had a great year.
He was always going to be that guy with power and speed, right? A combination of both, the two-pack there, and so we like that. As for being a Red Sox, I got over that a long time ago. You play fantasy, reality, gambling. You like everybody at some point or another. You like or you hate everybody. Sometimes I hate the Yankees, especially when they're on that losing streak, and it is what it is here. So I have no problem taking Story if I needed him. Red Sox are hard. He's mashing the ball. The funny thing is, remember, he wasn't even supposed to play all that much. They were thinking that he might get replaced mid-May with all the youngsters they have there. They needed, they needed roster spots, but he's played so well that he's keeping the job here. We'll see if he can do it through the summer. You said earlier in the show, it was an easier schedule that they took advantage of.
All right, Michael Busch hit 3 home runs in 1 game last week. This week, 364, 1 home run, 3 runs driven in. I mean, this is like the sign of a good team with the Cubs. I got to tell you, the more this goes on, the more it's like one day it's Suzuki, and one day it's Pete Crow Armstrong, and one day it's Michael Busch. That's a good sign. I mean, you don't have to have everybody hot at the same time, maybe to win the World Series. But I think some positive signs for the Cubs recently.
It's a good team. All right, good offensive team here, up and down the lineup there. You mentioned the guys there. You get the Horner in there who's played really well this year. My only worry might be, I mean, we've been talking about the Cubs all year long. They're a game ahead of Milwaukee. Pressure's going to be on the second half now if Milwaukee keeps playing this well, right? So I wonder how that's going to hit there. Cubs play the Yankees again this weekend here. Just get a split before the break. I'm sure both teams will be happy with that. But Cubs did not show up all that well early this week in Minnesota. I do wonder some cracks in the foundation are showing.
All right, Minnesota, of course, probably, I would guess, a seller at the trade deadline. Harrison Bader could be one player, George, that could be on the move. 214, 2 home runs, 5 runs driven in, 1 stolen base. Bader's bouncing around the league, George, quite a bit here recently. I feel like another bounce probably headed here at the end of the month.
Yeah, more than likely, Minnesota probably is trading out. You mentioned the Correa news that he's out now. He got slid into pretty much the same injury that Max Muncy had. Got slid into head first by Tommy Pham going to second, and you saw his leg go the wrong way, and he twisted his ankle both. The good news is he didn't need to be carted off. He was able to be helped off the field, but it did not look good there for Correa. Harrison Bader, I don't want anything to do with him. This doesn't add enough to me. You mentioned that even during a good week, his average still kills you.
Riley Green of the Detroit Tigers headed toward bigger things in the postseason, going through a little slump right now. 167, 1 home run, 4 runs driven in. Tigers will be upgrading, but Green is not in danger of losing any playing time.
No, you're talking about one of the better players in Major League Baseball and the best hitter on the Detroit Tigers here. Maybe breaking out of it a little bit last night. Had a couple of knocks there, including a triple. So I think Riley Green's okay. Not worried about Riley Green. You want to trade him? Come talk to me.
All right, now here's a hot name this week. Anthony Volpe just continues to struggle. Seems like the offense has affected even the defense a little bit. 125. He got the vote of confidence from his manager, which means nothing. Aaron Boone gives a vote of confidence to players that are even not on the Yankees. Like he'll go back in history and say, like, Hensley Mullins and Kevin Moss, I still believe in them, even though they're not playing anymore. 125 batting average for Volpe. There's no change that they're going to make this year, but I don't know. I think next year they may bring in some competition for him.
I don't think they'll bring in competition, but George Lombard, their top prospect, there's really some thought of moving him to third base. Now you wonder if they're going to say, maybe we're going to keep you at shortstop. All right, you said Boone and Cashin will protect Volpe until I don't know if this guy's got pictures or whatever, but he's had a terrible year. His defense has regressed. Most errors from shortstop in Major League Baseball. He can't hit. Even he's not stealing bases anymore either. He has not the base stealer he was. And Yankee fans have turned on him. All right, that may be the hardest thing here. He did have that great slide on Thursday night to score the game-winning run there. Good for him. But now that the Yankees, they had jettisoned DJ LeMahieu, Volpe got booed tremendously before that game Thursday. So he's got to start putting up numbers. Or else that once Yankee fans turn on you, it's hard to get them back. So he's definitely been a disappointment this season. Really been a disappointment since he called up. The Yankees, and part of this is the Yankees' problem because they played him up to be the next superstar. And at best, Craig, he's an average baseball player.
Pirates had a tough start to the season, then they sort of got going, George, and now they're back to who we thought they were at the beginning of the year, losing every single day, basically. It's kind of crazy. O'Neal Cruz, if you just eliminate his batting average on the season and looked at every other number, you'd say, all right, this looks pretty good. He's going to hit 20. He's going to steal 20. Fine. But man, this guy is just striking out every time he's up. He hit 211 this past week, George. That's a good week for him. You think I'm kidding? Take a look at his season. I think he's hitting 205 or something. What in the world with this guy?
I think the bigger problem or biggest problem for O'Neal, all right, that's not a great average. Fine, it could be one of those years, but he's also been benched a couple of times for dogging it, right? And that's a bigger problem. Not always giving the greatest effort, whether it's been in the field. And I remember watching a game or two. I'm like, for as fast as this guy is, he's jogging at the baseballs that are over his head. It's like, oh my God, run. So that could be a bigger issue for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Then again, maybe he just wants to get the hell out of there. I think an O'Neal Cruz with Volpe trade sounds fair. It's one of those fans, Yankee fans will pull out there that they'd like to see happen there. But Cruz will be fine. He's going to be in the home run derby. Maybe that'll wake him up as well here. But it's been a disappointing season overall, yeah.
Yeah, batting under 200 is not where you want to be at this time of the year. All right, Aces of the Week coming up next. You're watching Fantasy Sports Today here on SportsGrid, and we'll be right back.
New to social casinos? You're in for a treat. Most online casinos offer bonus cash or coins just for signing up. That's your own little participation trophy. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
One that really sticks out to me the most, George, and he's having a fantastic season, is James Wood of the Washington Nationals. I mean, yes, Cal Raleigh's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. He's like a candidate for MVP of the American League. But every time I look up, George, James Wood is either getting 5 hits or being walked 4 times in a game. What a season for this guy.
And he's so young. Was he 22? So what a future this kid has ahead of him.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Cooper flag against Bronny James feels like Mike DeCourcy against Mike Tyson. I'm sorry. I mean, let's be real about this. We're talking about a generational prospect in Cooper Flag and LeBron's kid who averaged 5.5 points in his 1 year of Division I basketball. I'm not saying LeBron is a poor player, but I don't see him as an equal attraction or an equal.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
You don't want a big that's camped out under the basket and clogging the lane. He provides a lot of really good defense, a lot of three-point shooting, and again, younger than Brook Lopez. It is a good match. I just don't think it moves the needle. But as we talked about to open the show, when Giannis Antetokounmpo was saying, we're not just going to sit here this year and say, oh, Dame's down, let's just take a pause year because I'd rather go try to chase a championship. So at least they're being honest and saying, we're going to make this team better.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to Fantasy Sports Today here on SportsGrid. Hard to believe that one great performance earlier in the week did notch Jacob Mizorowski an all-star appearance. I mean, George, think about this. If this start right here, 6 innings pitched, 12 strikeouts against the Dodgers, if this looks like 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, and 5 strikeouts, George, this guy's not in the all-star game this week. When people are talking about 5 starts, I think it was that start. Really, when you think about it. He was, before we knew about this, he was my start of the week. He's been fantastic, but never in my wildest dreams did I think that start right there would lead to him heading to Atlanta to pitch on Tuesday.
I mean, listen, it's ridiculous. I think we know that. I don't mind it. It's an exhibition game, fine. You want to get the guy throwing 1,000 miles an hour, and he replaces Boyd, by the way. And I'd rather see Mizorowski than Boyd. So if I'm going to play the devil's advocate, but I do think it's unfair for a couple of pitchers who've done it all season long. I imagine the Philadelphia Phillies are not happy. There's quotes here from Trey Turner, Nick Castellanos, that are not very happy that their own guys didn't make it. And I think that's justified. I do. Those guys have pitched very well all season long. Numbers are very similar. Maybe not as sexy as far as 12 strikeouts. But if you ask me who the fans want to watch, it probably still is Mizorowski. It probably is that guy. And Craig, baseball, MLB takes a lot of crap for not marketing their game very well. Well, isn't this way of marketing the game? Get the flamethrower in there, that sort of thing. Like I said, I'm trying to find justification here, even though I know it's not fair to the guys who didn't make it. But I think that's where baseball is going with this. But yeah, it's 5 starts, and you're probably right that the fact that he did it against the Dodgers earlier this week and he had 12 strikeouts is probably a big part of this. And and I guess he's not pitching Sunday, by the way, because he pitched Tuesday. 5 days rest would be Sunday, which would be ironic. He can't pitch anyway. But I guess they've been told that he's not going to go Sunday.
Yeah, it's by the way, very hard to keep up with all of these drop. I mean, maybe it's just me and I'm a prisoner of the moment, but it feels like more guys have dropped out of this All-Star game than I can remember in a long time. Like every second I'm looking online, it's like, oh, this guy's out, that guy's out. Okay, Zach Gallen is your ace of the week, George. It hasn't been the best year for him, but he could easily turn it around and be a great second half guy.
Yeah, sometimes one of the reasons I choose who I choose because give us something to talk about here as far as what will the Diamondbacks do? You already said it. Gallen has not been that ace or that Cy Young guy he was a couple of years ago. Pitched very well against the Yankees and Mets because he's good against New York teams. Arizona's been so-so this season, right? You lost Corbin Burns here. There's definitely news that they could trade Suarez. They could trade Naylor, Gallen, Merrill Kelly. They have a lot of players teams want here. Will they move Gallen? That's why I chose him there. Will they move him by the deadline? He's pitching better of late. He's going to be that guy. So he pitched very well this week. We'll see what he does over the weekend in the start here. But I do wonder if he's maybe the top pitcher moved or a top 3 pitcher moved by the deadline. And remember, Diamondbacks lost Corbin Burns, lost Jordan Montgomery. If they trade Gallen or Kelly, do they have enough healthy arms to finish out the season?
Good question. All right. Another good question is, how did Sam know that Brandon Woodruff had such a good start against Miami? This guy was on vacation last week, but okay. 6 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 8 strikeouts, no walks. His first start in a really long time, I believe over a year. Woodruff is another, one of those pitching projects that the Milwaukee has to try and figure out. Not that he's been a project in the past, George, but when you have a pitcher that hasn't pitched in over a year because of Tommy John surgery, you got to sort of tinker with things. But Mizorowski, Woodruff, Peralta, how do they do it, George? Every year, the Brewers, man, every year. It is the pitching carrying them and then piecing everything together. A dangerous team if they get into the postseason.
Yeah, they won't be fun. Although we're hearing noise that they could trade Peralta, do a Josh Hader there, trade a guy who's still good in a playoff year because that's how they have to operate here. But they develop pitchers very well here. Remember Woodruff, and I feel good for Woodruff because he had some setbacks while the Tommy John, not from really the Tommy John, but he hurt his ankle or his leg, whatever it might be. So that set him back a couple of weeks here to a month, and he comes back and he pitches very well in his first start. We'll see if that can continue here. But it certainly be very good news for the Brewers. I mentioned earlier, only 1 game behind the Cubs. And yes, I do remember in the preseason you predicting the Brewers, I believe, to make the playoffs, maybe even win the division. So good for you, because I honestly didn't have all that much faith in the Brewers. I thought this would finally catch up to them of losing top pitchers over and over and over again. And that's what other players here. But good for the Brewers. Game behind the Cubs could be a fun division race.
Yeah, I think it is fair to say, like we always mention, George, the Rays as that like poster organization that always finds a way in. Cleveland gets mentioned a lot. Milwaukee is right there as far as always being in it, no matter what the person looks like or manager. By the way. We'll be right back.
New to social casinos? You're in for a treat. Most online casinos offer bonus cash or coins just for signing up. That's your own little participation trophy. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
One that really sticks out to me the most, George, and he's having a fantastic season, is James Wood of the Washington Nationals. I mean, yes, Cal Raleigh's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. He's like a candidate for MVP of the American League. But every time I look up, George, James Wood is either getting 5 hits or being walked 4 times in a game. What a season for this guy.
And he's so young. Was he 22? So what a future this kid has ahead of him.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Cooper flag against Bronny James feels like Mike DeCourcy against Mike Tyson. I'm sorry. I mean, let's be real about this. We're talking about a generational prospect in Cooper Flag and LeBron's kid who averaged 5.5 points in his 1 year of Division I basketball. I'm not saying LeBron is a poor player, but I don't see him as an equal attraction or an equal.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
You don't want a big that's camped out under the basket and clogging the lane. He provides a lot of really good defense, a lot of three-point shooting, and again, younger than Brook Lopez. It is a good match. I just don't think it moves the needle, but as we talked about to open the show, when Giannis Antetokounmpo was saying, we're not just going to sit here this year and say, oh, Dame's down, let's just take a pause year because I'd rather go try to chase a championship. So at least they're being honest and saying, we're going to make this team better.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to Fantasy Sports today here on SportsGrid. Thanks for waking up with us this Saturday morning or whenever you're watching the show. Maybe you're waking up with us and watching us on Saturday night. I don't know. SportsGrid airs our show a lot. George, let's go through the first half MVPs of fantasy, biggest surprises, biggest letdowns. You and I just totally agree, so we don't have to spend a lot of time on this. We thought maybe the first half fantasy MVP, I think we probably both thought this would come on the Cubs. Because after the first month of the season, it looked like the best trade in baseball was made when the Cubs traded Cam Smith to the Astros for Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker was the hottest hitter, right, in the NL for like a month. Cam Smith was doing nothing. By the way, Cam Smith looked good now. Then all of a sudden, after April, this guy, Pete Crow Armstrong, I say this guy. I mean, you talk about a star in the All-Star game on Tuesday. This is the star, George. Pete Crow Armstrong is having a year to remember. Both you and I believe he is the first half fantasy baseball MVP and reminds me a little bit of Gunnar Henderson a year ago. But as long as he just has a semblance of a second half like he did in the first, he is going to be the fantasy baseball MVP this year.
Yeah, because once again, we're talking about a guy you drafted around 10. Well, we weren't expecting this. Expecting maybe a solid ball player who's going to give you a combination of speed and power, but not what he's doing here. So good for him. Help, I'm going to say leading the Cubs. Tucker's been right there with him. And you and I already went over the offense, right? They have offense up and down the lineup here. But I know a lot of Met fans are still, we traded this guy. I can't believe it. Well, it happens here, but he's hard to see anybody replacing him. I mean, like I said, listen, there are guys, Ohtani's having a great year, all right? But you expected him to have the kind of year that Ohtani's having. So that's why I always look for guys drafted later on in my draft for MVP.
Now, as far as the AL MVP, George and I see this differently. I'll kind of go through my explanation, and then George will give his. My explanation is sort of as follows. Now, I've said this through the years in fantasy baseball. I've tried to correlate it to fantasy football. So I'm going to make my case here again. So my MVP for the American League in the first half is Cal Raleigh. And my reasoning is not just because of the offense, and, he did hit another home run last night, but my reasoning partially is because of the position that he plays, and that is a catcher. So you may say, well, give me this in fantasy football terms. So in fantasy football terms, it would essentially be pick your favorite tight end, Antonio Gates, Tony Gonzalez, Travis Kelce, and give them a 2,000-yard season with 20 touchdowns. How valuable would that player be in fantasy? He'd be the number one overall pick if that was a tight end. That's my reasoning behind it, George. Like, I understand catching has been better, okay? Much better this year than has been in years past. But the difference from Raleigh to, like, the fifth best catcher in fantasy is a monster gap. And I know you're going to go with Aaron Judge here. And look, that's a very easy one, too. But the difference between Aaron Judge, per se, and maybe the second or third best outfielder in the American League isn't that significant gap. So I'm going with Raleigh and MVP.
Yeah, I don't think you had to explain your choice there. All right, Raleigh is, once again, if I go by my definition, he's the fantasy MVP. When did we draft him? He wasn't even the number one catcher drafted, right? I don't even think he was the number two catcher drafted. Probably top 4, top 5 at best here. So Raleigh's a great pick. I have no issues with that. And to be honest with you, when I got this question, it did not say fantasy MVP. It said MVP. So that's why I chose Judge, by the way. But since it said fantasy MVP, I probably would have chose Raleigh as well. Because once again, you drafted him late. Judge is the, at worst, third overall pick. Behind Ohtani, behind Whitney. He's number 1 in a lot of leagues, number 2. So it is there. I think overall MVP, it'll be Judge over Raleigh because he, outside of home runs, his numbers are just better, especially in the analytics days, the OPS and all that stuff here. But Raleigh's no one's arguing Raleigh for a fantasy MVP or even reality MVP. That wouldn't bother me either if he wins it, by the way. Close. And he's actually been a very good catcher, other than maybe a little slow tag on Volpe the other night. But thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Mr. Consistency, our award goes to the same player. We don't have to dive in any deeper than this. Another home run last night. Was it 2 home runs last night for Jose Ramirez, George? I think it may have been 2 more home runs.
It's one of the second game.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, Jose Ramirez is just every year, same thing. He will not be the number 1 overall pick in fantasy next year. You could make a case he should be the number 1 overall pick because you know exactly what you're getting. 30 home runs, 30 steals, good average. He's going to drive in a lot of runs. The most boring, great player we've seen in a long time.
This is hilarious, by the way. When I was got this question, we're gonna keep throwing Sam Yarnell onto the bus here. What the hell? That's right. What the hell is he looking for? I had no idea what he was looking for here. So for you and I to pick the same player, but it went through my mind the same thing. What you just said there. This is a guy nobody talks about. We never get any love for. He's always going top 6 fantasy league. And that's it. That's the last time we mention him. We don't speak about him ever again here. So I was going to pick somebody else, but also Sam put hitters. It has to be a hitter, because I was thinking, but we don't have a Mr. Consistency at pitcher, do we? I don't think we did. So there was somebody else I was going to pick that. It was Logan Webb. Was going to be my other choice here for the same exact reason. Another guy we pick and we don't talk about over again because he's not sexy, but he gets the job done.
Biggest surprise in the first half for me, and I think it's going to carry over into the second half, is you're going to have a player that was undrafted in fantasy winning the stolen base title in Major League Baseball. Undrafted. Chandler Simpson of the Tampa Bay Rays, George, is going to lead all Major League players this year in stolen bases. No one talked about him in February or March. Now, of course, there's somebody that's going to yell and scream at me, and they're in the community. They're, I told everybody in the beginning of the year. You're not hosting this show, and I am. Sorry. That's mine. Who is your biggest surprise?
This is where I'll go rally because we knew he had power. I didn't know he was going to have the most home runs for a catcher by July 12th. All right, he had 2 more bombs last night, including a grand slam. So, didn't see him maybe getting 40 home runs by the All-Star break. Did not see that. Okay, so that's where we'll give Cal Raleigh his love here as a surprise. Thought he'd be a good, solid player here, but I mentioned he wasn't even one of the top couple of catchers drafted here. No one really saw this coming.
He's having a great year. As far as letdowns are concerned, all I needed to do, George, for my biggest letdown was go to the Atlanta Braves page because I knew I'd find somebody there. Wow, what a bad first half they have had. I almost went Ozzie Albies. I almost did. It was really close for me. But I went Michael Harris just because I could not believe, George, the numbers of 500 OPS, man? What happened to this guy? This guy is set for life. It's $80 million, $90 million. He was leading off or batting ninth, depending on the pitcher for the Braves. You could make a case he shouldn't be playing right now. You could make a case that if he didn't have this long-term deal, he'd be in the minors.
That's a fair. I don't know what happened to Michael Harris. He came up with all the and he really carried the Braves for a while with all those injuries, but it's not working out this season at all. I chose somebody we drafted in the first round, Mookie Betts. Could have gone Freddie Freeman here as well, by the way, who's batting about 200 since June. They're both struggling. Both came into the season hurt here. Maybe that's Mookie had the stomach problem, lost some weight here for the Japanese series. Maybe that's still affecting him, but his bat speed is wow, nowhere near at the top of the bat speed charts. He's having all sorts of problems. The power doesn't seem to be there. Not the same player for whatever reason. Not the same player. Has age finally caught up to these guys? But I said Betts Freeman went with Betts because he was a first round pick, where Freeman might have been second or third. But both have been disappointing.
When you were looking at it, where was Juan Soto for you? He was definitely in the mix for me. I knew he wasn't going to be one, but he was in the mix for me.
He's having a good year. How many home runs? If we would have talked about this, was he at 17 home runs? Hit another one last night. He's on pace to hit 30 plus, which is about what I thought he'd hit. I think he had 41 for the Yankees. That's with the short porch and right. So I wasn't going to put him there. I think I had him around 32, 34, which he's about on pace for. If we did the show a month ago, okay, it might be Juan Soto in a win. But he's been really hot ever since here. So he's got 22 homers, we're being told. He's on pace for 40, more than last year. He's fine. Leave him alone, Mets fans.
All right. Maybe you convinced me to go the other way. All right. Coming up next, our pitching awards. We'll have it next for you on Fantasy Sports Today, and then we'll wrap the first hour up. You're watching FST on SportsGrid. Don't go away.
New to social casinos? You're in for a treat. Most online casinos offer bonus cash or coins just for signing up. That's your own little participation trophy. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
One that really sticks out to me the most, George, and he's having a fantastic season, is James Wood of the Washington Nationals. I mean, yes, Cal Raleigh's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. He's like a candidate for MVP of the American League. But every time I look up, George, James Wood is either getting 5 hits or being walked 4 times in a game. What a season for this guy.
And he's so young. Was he 22? So what a future this kid has ahead of him.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Cooper flag against Bronny James feels like Mike DeCourcy against Mike Tyson. I'm sorry. I mean, let's be real about this. We're talking about a generational prospect in Cooper Flag and LeBron's kid who averaged 5.5 points in his 1 year of Division I basketball. I'm not saying LeBron is a poor player, but I don't see him as an equal attraction or an equal.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
You don't want a big that's camped out under the basket and clogging the lane. He provides a lot of really good defense, a lot of three-point shooting, and again, younger than Brook Lopez. It is a good match. I just don't think it moves the needle, but as we talked about to open the show, when Giannis Antetokounmpo was saying, we're not just going to sit here this year and say, oh, Dame's down, let's just take a pause year because I'd rather go try to chase a championship. So at least they're being honest and saying, we're going to make this team better.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to Fantasy Sports Today here on SportsGrid. First half pitching awards in baseball. Man, it's, I guess let's start with the NL here because I think case can be made for Paul Skeens, and he's being hurt by the fact that his team's not helping him too. But George and I do tend to see this the same way. We got Zach Wheeler significantly ahead in strikeouts, ahead of Skeens. Wins, we won't hold it against him, but I mean, George, did we talk about this last week that there's a chance that Skeens has a higher WAR than wins at the end of the year? I mean, that is insane to think that could possibly happen, but it's not that far off. Skeens has been fantastic too. You'll see him pitch in the All-Star game without a doubt. But Zach Wheeler, we both got him as our first half guy.
Yeah, and listen, if you wanted to vote for Skeens, I'm not knocking anybody. Yeah, he can't get wins, but his numbers are fantastic. I joked on one of our shows, probably Rage or whatever, Thursday night, that Skeens is pitching tomorrow. So we know it's going to be a 1-0, 2-1 loss. And sure enough, it's a 1-0, 2-1 loss here. And they are babying him now, by the way. He's 5 innings and gone pretty much, right? So I guess save on his innings, which is fine. Whatever. You're not going anywhere anyway. Make sure the guy doesn't get hurt. But yeah, you and I have the same answer, which is unusual. We may think alike, but usually we have different answers here, but we both take Zach Wheeler. And Wheeler deserves the love. And maybe he'll get the Cy Young overall this year. Great pitcher. And I think he announced that he's done in a couple of years. He's not going to pitch as long as he can. He's going to hang it up here. So Zach Wheeler, great year for the Philadelphia Phillies and a Philly that's going to make the All-Star game. I think he should be starting the game as well here.
He should.
One more Skeens stat for you, by the way. His last 25 starts for Paul Skeens, he has not given up a run in the first inning. That's nuts.
Great start to every game for Skeens. Tariq Skubal has been baseball's best pitcher over the last couple of years. That continued. So our American League Cy Young is probably the easiest you could get. Skubal will win the Cy Young Award this year, barring an injury. Hate to say it, but that's true. As long as he just pitches in the second half, he's going to win. Detroit is going to be a really tough out in the postseason because you're going to have to face this guy 3 times in a 7-game series. Like that. That's why Detroit is the favorite to win the American League. Skubal, once upon a time, was with Casey Mize, Matt Manning. Remember him too? Like he was the third of those 3 guys that was supposed to be as talented, but he ended up being the number 1.
Yeah, it is funny how that worked out there. Didn't pitch all that great last night, 5 innings, 4 runs, but hey, it can't be perfect every night. I think if somebody starts, he's been bored. I'm gonna put my time in. We win the game. Let's move on here. That sort of thing. So he's going to be a starter in the All-Star game. I expect to be Zach Wheel from the National League. Strikeouts are coming. Ho hum, away we go. But I agree with you. I think he'll win the award unless there's an injury. Hunter Brown, I think, is there. Max Fried's there as well. But Skubal is the better pitcher.
Yeah, no doubt. He's been the best pitcher on the best team. Okay, so how about the best reliever, George? I'll let you go first. There's a lot of good choices for best reliever and a lot of different categories that you could choose the best reliever to. I went away from a saves guy. I went to someone else who, by the way, is in the All-Star game. But go ahead, give me yours first.
Yeah, like I said, sometimes the best relievers on every team aren't necessarily the closer, by the way. Could certainly be a setup guy here. But Josh Hader's numbers are fantastic. Was he 26 for 26 with save opportunities? Did take the loss the other day, one of those games against Cleveland where he gave the grand slam to Martinez in a pure Houston home run. I believe it was the only ballpark in Major League Baseball that's a home run in. Little high skyer that got into the first row of the Crawford boxes there. But Hader's been fantastic for me. Thought he deserved the award.
Yeah, Randy Rodriguez has the best statistical numbers of any relief pitcher in baseball this season, and probably one of the main reasons the Giants, anytime they have a close game, somehow end up winning. So for me, Randy Rodriguez, out of nowhere, has become baseball's best reliever this season. A lot of good choices. George's choice is perfectly fine, too, in Josh Hader. I was looking at some other relief pitchers as well that are racking up saves. But I went with Randy Rodriguez, who I think, if I had to guess, George, knowing the way that organizations do things, will probably end up being the Giants closer next year. That would be a guess. Maybe Camilo Doval goes somewhere else, or they sell high on Doval. I mean, remember Doval was in the minors at one point last year. So I think Rodriguez would be the guy for me. Now, for the biggest letdown, boy, we're going down a dangerous path here. We are going down a dangerous path here, because when I was going through this last night, and I was like, well, okay, I see a few names here. All right, I can find somebody here. Yeah, so you know that I'm not going to pick a Marlin as my biggest letdown. That's not going to happen here on the show. But I get it, George. I get it. I went with Luis Severino. The A's signed him. They were, you know what's funny to me, honestly, George, when you think about it? We basically look at teams that generally don't spend money, and when they do, we're like, oh, go this team. Look at that. They're spending. They're doing the right thing. But we never go back and look and say, wow, what idiots they were. Why don't we ever do the autopsy on free agency? All we do is champion these small market teams. Oh, it's so great that they're going for it. Congratulations to the A's. And then they sign this guy, Luis Severino, and he's a complete bust this season. Like, awful, terrible. No offense, Luis. He needs to get out of there and get somewhere else that's not at altitude, but he was my biggest letdown.
And he actually came out and said, a week, 10 days ago, that, I'm pitching in a minor league ballpark. Well, you knew this before you signed. I mean, You weren't traded there. You're a free agent. All right. You knew it was going we all knew that it was going to be hot in Sacramento. The ball was going to fly out of there. It was going to be a tough ballpark for pitchers. Pretty much going to be Colorado West. That sort of thing. So I don't think you have anything to really truly to complain about here. We all knew this was going to happen here. I don't see him being traded. He's making some coin, although his numbers are much better on the road. So maybe there is something to that. But Craig, he pitched last night again, didn't do well, had a good couple of innings, and then pretty much second time through the lineup, the Jays started mashing him all over the place here. So lots of issues with Severino. And he goes, I would have liked to still be a Met. Yeah, I'm sure you would have now. But you took the most money, which is fine, by the way. I don't have an issue with that. Most of us would do that. But to complain about it now seems to be a little, I don't really care. Severino, too
bad. Okay. So we're out of time, unfortunately, to go through your guy. So maybe we'll do it next week here on the show. All right. So we'll take a quick break here on Fantasy Sports Today. George's biggest disappointment of the first half was just having to sit with me every Saturday. That's it. We'll pick the Home Run Derby champion coming up next. Don't go away.
New to social casinos? You're in for a treat. Most online casinos offer bonus cash or coins just for signing up. That's your own little participation trophy. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
One that really sticks out to me the most, George, and he's having a fantastic season, is James Wood of the Washington Nationals. I mean, yes, Cal Raleigh's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. He's like a candidate for MVP of the American League. But every time I look up, George, James Wood is either getting 5 hits or being walked 4 times in a game. What a season for this guy.
And he's so young. What is he, 22? So what a future this kid has ahead of him.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Cooper flag against Bronny James feels like Mike DeCourcy against Mike Tyson. I'm sorry. I mean, let's be real about this. We're talking about a generational prospect in Cooper Flag, and LeBron's kid who averaged 5.5 points in his 1 year of Division I basketball. I'm not saying LeBron is a poor player, but I don't see him as an equal attraction or an equal.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
You don't want a big that's camped out under the basket and clogging the lane. He provides a lot of really good defense, a lot of three-point shooting, and again, younger than Brook Lopez. It is a good match. I just don't think it moves the needle. But as we talked about to open the show, when Giannis Antetokounmpo was saying, we're not just going to sit here this year and say, oh, Dame's down, let's just take a pause here because I'd rather go try to chase a championship. So at least they're being honest and saying, we're going to make this team better.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to Fantasy Sports Today here on SportsGrid. Each year, Major League Baseball tries to do the best job that they possibly can with the Home Run Derby. It's a signature event, and George probably would agree that it's become better than the All-Star Game. The baseball's All-Star Game Home Run Derby is better than any of the other sports. Like, it's still very watchable. They've done a great job, I think, Tuesday by putting the automatic ball strike challenge system in. It's, a little bit of a freak show. That's what we want, a little bit of a freak show. They threw Mizorowski in the game. Okay, so I get it. George, this field for the Home Run Derby, gonna be honest, hate to do it, feels a little light in the star power here. I mean, you can't get a Judge or an Ohtani every season, okay? It's tough to do. They participate once. They don't want to do it again. A Soto, Pete Alonso. I mean, Cal Raleigh is far and away the most interesting factor, I think, going into the Home Run Derby. It feels like after that, they just kind of filled in the blanks a little bit. I hate to say it here. I think James Wood is a star and was a great choice? Yes, and there are some here, but, Acuna drops out. Now it's Matt Olson. Byron Buxton, who's a buddy of mine. He's been on SportsGrid many times. I love him. I hope he wins. I'm probably rooting for him to win this thing. But this isn't must-tune-in TV. The good thing that baseball has going for it, nothing else is going on Monday. But do you feel that way too? That this is a strange year for the Derby, or no?
I think we're seeing this more and more. Players don't want to do this. You said earlier in the show, all the players dropping out of the All-Star game. No one. I mean, come on. Jazz Chisholm had to say to the New York media, listen, I wouldn't mind being in the Derby. And they're looking for players, right? Everyone else is saying no. Judge has said he'll only do it next time the All-Star game comes to Yankee Stadium. All right, Stanton, doesn't even make the All-Star team. But I think they should, and they sort of did open it up, right? O'Neal Cruz, I don't believe, made the All-Star team, but he's in the Derby. I want to see home runs hit 500 feet, right? I don't care who they take. I want to see a ball just knocked out over the chop house into Savannah, Georgia. That's really what I want to see here. So I don't care who does it. But, yeah, we don't have too many sexy names. Alonso said he wants to prepare for the second half and stuff like that. And I get it, man. Swinging that bat, as hard as you get 100 times in 15 minutes? Yeah, it's going to be a little tiring. Maybe it does change your swing a little bit, whatever it might be here. But, yeah, it's a little underwhelming. It is. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, I mean, next year it's in Philadelphia. Bryce Harper is going to be in the Home Run Derby. You could just bank on that next year. Like, that's like a big, great name that people will tune into. I mean, I'm going to go. My pick is going to be Junior Caminero. That's who I'm going to pick to win because he's been the hottest. That's it. I mean, it's simple as that. When I'm looking for a Derby champ, it's who's going into Monday looking the best. And so that's going to be my pick. Now, I am going to root for Byron Buxton because he's been good to me through the years and he's come on all my shows and done everything that I've ever asked him to do. So I think he will be interesting. The other thing, I've heard this narrative too, George. You tell me if you like this narrative, that James Wood has had the most time to prepare for the home run derby. He was the first one in, so he actually had BPs and has tried to emulate being in the derby. And some people feel like he is the best choice at plus 480 because he's had the most time. And I can't find anybody picking Jazz to win this.
No, I don't think Jazz. I don't think Jazz has the brute strength to do it over and over and over again. Around he could be dangerous, but I think he'll tire out as well. Once again, you and I are agreeing way too much on this show. Once again, Cam Stewart and I have been talking about this covering for Gabe on Rage the last couple of nights. We're both on Caminero. All right, we both like Junior Caminero to go for this. I think he's got that body built for it. We can maintain that strength throughout here, and we both have James Wood for second. All right, then we kind of like Rooker as our another guy there is a lower edge guy here, but and those odds have changed, by the way. Rooker and Caminero were reversed. It was Caminero plus 10 and Rooker plus 1,200 last night. So they've changed overnight for whatever reason here, as people start to like Rooker more and more here. But Caminero is my guy here. Now I think he's going to take us. He's that lower end guy. The second year played with Tampa Bay. Yeah, good hitter. So I think he's a nice little sleeper choice.
Yep, I would agree. All right. So, Monday night, we'll have some fun. We'll pick a winner. And then George and I next week will be back here on the show talking about what happened last week. So folks, coming up after the break, it's that time of the year. We get to the All-Star break, and it's time to start diving into some fantasy football. So you can expect FST to kind of be a 50-50 show, baseball and football for the month of July. And then once August comes, it's fantasy football draft month. We'll be back with more fantasy sports today in the second hour. We return after these quick messages. Don't go away.
New to social casinos? You're in for a treat. Most online casinos offer bonus cash or coins just for signing up. That's your own little participation trophy. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
One that really sticks out to me the most, George, and he's having a fantastic season, is James Wood of the Washington Nationals. I mean, yes, Cal Raleigh's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. He's like a candidate for MVP of the American League. But every time I look up, George, James Wood is either getting 5 hits or being walked 4 times in a game. What a season for this guy.
And he's so young. Was he 22? So what a future this kid has ahead of him.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Cooper flag against Bronny James feels like Mike DeCourcy against Mike Tyson. I'm sorry. I mean, let's be real about this. We're talking about a generational prospect in Cooper flag, and LeBron's kid who averaged 5.5 points in his 1 year of Division I basketball. I'm not saying LeBron is a poor player, but I don't see him as an equal attraction or an equal.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
You don't want a big that's camped out under the basket and clogging the lane. He provides a lot of really good defense, a lot of three-point shooting, and again, younger than Brook Lopez. It is a good match. I just don't think it moves the needle, but as we talked about to open the show, when Giannis Antetokounmpo was saying, we're not just going to sit here this year and say, oh, Dame's down, let's just take a pause year because I'd rather go try to chase a championship. So at least they're being honest and saying, we're going to make this team better.
The Early Line, only